Man, good stuff. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy morning to you. Hopefully, you guys are doing okay. Hopefully, you're doing okay. All right, well, we're going to jump into it. Wait, actually, there it is. There's chat. Everything's good. Alrighty, so I spent most of this morning just kind of setting up the computer, getting moving. I actually forgot I had a doctor's appointment today around 10 o'clock because it was like the soonest they could get me in after waiting for, I don't know, like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something. So we got a doctor's appointment at 10, so I figured I'd just hop on earlier today. May or may not come back on after that, bottom line. So we're going to get ready to jump into the day. Hopefully everyone's having a good morning. So yeah, cheers to that. So let's first get into the SPY. I haven't even looked at a pre-market chart today, to be completely honest. I just literally just haven't even looked at really anything. Popped on some of Bloomberg this morning just because I usually have it run in the background occasionally. But listened to a little bit of Bloomberg, not a whole lot, maybe like 5-10 minutes. The first thing that we heard, or at least the first thing I heard today, was just some talk about how quickly things were, talking about the yen carry trade and then how that kind of blew over. That's what the anchor was talking about. Should that be worrisome? How kind of quick narratives and, what happened are changing in the market. Then one of the other gentlemen on the show was talking about how even some of the good data that's being announced is kind of getting pushed to the side. So that's probably in reference to some of the data, things that have come out over the past couple of days, and yet the market still's kind of been selling down in a way. He even took note of how some of that good data in there is getting pushed to the side and market's still just training down. So anyways, it's all kind of all in line with what's going on. So first things first, I'm going to pull up this guy here, and then we'll get into all of this. But I guess probably before we start kind of just diving down rabbit holes together, let's at least get a little bit of info out for maybe the immediate stuff, which is you can see the sell target, right? So you see how we have the word sell target here. That is a target based off of, there could be some other things that I'm even missing. There's a lot of things that we could potentially watch at any given time, but one of which is the current downsided swing Fibonacci target. Again, Fibonacci's can be used multitudes of ways. Not every time is it going to be totally perfect, but nonetheless, we've come into that sell target area. That is the current selling operation market swing fib. It's a lot of words to take in there. I get it. I'm sorry. But anyways, there's a swing target there. And you can actually see there's two, believe it or not. So there's two. One here, which obviously we just ran into this morning with the overnight gap down. We got really close yesterday, did a little shy, and then they brought it back in there today. And then we have another one down here. To be completely honest, the reason there's two is because it's kind of like you don't always know, right? And there's been many cases where I have looked to go to the downside sell target or made projections for this guy, and then we get stopped at this guy, and I'm like, well, dang it. And then there's been times where I'm just looking at this guy, and then we blow through that one and go to this one. So unfortunately, after all of that, I've just decided that when looking at these specific swing targets as it may relate to some buying and selling operations, I always just found its best, but with it being the market and the market does what it pleases, I just had to go ahead and put both on because they are both valid scenarios, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of like the simple way of saying that's not even the simple way of saying why there's two sell targets on the screen. That was more of a complex one and drawn out one. But anyways, you guys get the point. So we've come into one of the sell targets that was mentioned yesterday on stream. Well, I guess yesterday was the first day I've really streamed, and I don't even know how long, so it would make sense, right? So that was achieved there. Now, we'll see what happens. The market's gapped down overnight. Depending on what again, I haven't even done much analysis today or figuring out what's going on. Obviously, you always kind of assume as you come into sell targets, the market's gonna bounce. Again, that's kind of, again, if, like, for example, if the market goes up and everyone sells their longs because they hit a really good long target, then naturally the selling that starts to come from people closing out long positions into long targets creates sells. Hence, when markets roll into sell targets and shorts are covered, markets tend to bounce a bit. That doesn't mean it has to be extended and so on and so forth, which kind of goes on to the saying that me and my business partner Brandon use quite often, which is our long targets are usually sell entry and sell targets are usually long entry. Hence the concept of markets kind of ping pong back and forth, right? Top bottoms kind of jazz. So anyways, all right, we'll get into some more stuff today. But again, the main takeaway that I think you should have before we start just rambling off on everything is that the market is still bearish. We are still in a selling operation as per the title of the video on YouTube. I'm looking for YouTube like I'm watching it right now, but we're still in a selling operation. All right. So there's your narratives. We're still in a selling operation. The market is not bullish as it relates to trend. Momentum trend has nothing to do with oversold metrics. Trend is different from oversold bounces. We will cover topics of oversold bounces today. We just did it as we're coming into the sell target. That's one area where you would look for counter longs. Arguably, I would say that's more of like a micro long bottom. Maybe it develops into something macro, but I would call it still more of a micro. We probably got to get a better way of everyone getting on board with what micro, macro kind of mean and how we may interpret those in real time, because that would give far better context to what you would be looking at in the chart kind of thing, because if I'm like, hey, it's going to bounce, someone could be like, oh, sweet, like I'm going to buy like calls and it's going to go up $10 or whatever, when in reality it's like it's really a micro bounce, maybe for just the morning, for maybe even 20 minutes or something. So we'll try to get some more context for the stream at a later date based on that. There's quite a bit going on here. I'm just going to kind of clean some stuff up, and then we'll kind of start jumping into it a little more. All right. So we're into sell target 1 here on the SPY. I'm going to take us to like a 4-hour chart here. All right. So where we have on the screen sell target, those are Fibonacci targets down. We did open with the gap down today. Basically, if the gap down holds true and we get follow through to the downside, then we'll start talking about those downside intraday targets near the open. So yeah, because it's slightly determined based on the overnight gaps. A lot of the times. I mean, if you're going to use that kind of approach, then it is all the time. So there are again, if we hold the gap down towards the open and we open with the gap down again, at that point we can start delivering downside destinations based off of the overnight gaps and things like that. But again, those price points can't really be derived until we can calculate what the overnight gap is, and that can change entirely all the way up until the open, right? So those sorts of numbers will come at about 9:31 at market open. All right. What else? I mean, obviously, we're going to run through all the big name stocks. You know what I really got to do for this stream is I got to actually I just got to make like an outline of how we go through the day for everything, and then that way it just becomes more of an organized approach for everyone. I've thought about that for many years, but apparently I'm just lazy. So we'll get there, I'm sure. All right. Let me hold on. So yeah, let's flip this to a regular trading hours chart here. That's also the daily 50 SMA. I mean, like, I'm watching it, but I'm not putting a whole lot of emphasis on it right now, just because I could kind of already see it being kind of shifty. So I'm just using it as a generalization point, not putting specifics on it for the moment. But again, if we transition here to the 30-minute chart, we can see that the market is in fact in a downtrend. Oh, I've been looking for the chat this whole time. There it is. It's on the bottom right. No wonder why I was like, what's going on? Good morning, Todd. Todd, right now there isn't one, but actually we are kind of getting into that screen about the 1050 right now. As Street, Syndicate Street. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate you. Thank you. Shane, what's up, brother? Oh my goodness, how are you? Good to see you. So, again here, the market is still in a downtrend. It's been in a downtrend, at least the macro is concerned, since September 3rd. That was kind of the day where the news flipped and told you that the world was ending for the third time in a day or the past week. But we're still here. We're still here. All right. So anyways, market's in a downtrend. And that's not going to change until it changes. When does it change? Whenever the market wants to go into an uptrend, which means you just basically look at the chart and eventually it's going to flip into an uptrend. Everyone wants to be able to say exactly when it's going to happen, but markets move on their own accord, right? And that's hence the concept of trend and following trend. And as trends changed from negative to positive, then the trend has changed. So nonetheless, that price point right now is about $553.90 as it relates to the SPY. All right. We can also look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is basically going to tell the same story, maybe just a little different, right? So the NASDAQ has been, and here's another good way of kind of looking at it. If you're looking at a lower low, lower high chart structure, then obviously it's basically been downtrending since this top, right? If you're looking at downtrend as it relates to simple moving averages and kind of trigger points, then we would be looking right here, as that would be the last time that the market had, call it a small upswing over the 50 and then shortly back down under and slam. So yes, the market has been in a chart structure, kind of lower low, lower high sequencing since obviously the high, okay? And then you can see it's going down. But downtrend as it relates to SMA trigger, again, was at the price point of $474.07. All right, so as it relates to, again, SMA trend, the trend change flip would be like right there. And that's what we say as far as macro. That's, actually, I'm kind of curious what the internet suggests like time frames are in macro. So give me a second. I'm actually about to just figure this out. I mean, like, I already kind of know, but I really want to see like what the exacts would be on the internet and what it's going to give me. I mean, obviously, I would assume, anywhere. And see, that's the different thing. I guess it's all dependent, really. So let's see what it says. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's not even really good. See, I guess it would still really be micro. you know, see, intermediate 3 months to a year, macro. Yeah, I know macro can get into the months, but I don't know. I feel like, I guess everything would just be like micro to super micro then. That could get slightly confusing. Anyways, I guess we'll just do our best. All right, so yeah, where were we? Exactly. So the market is downtrending. Yay. All right. And so, yes, the NASDAQ has a gap down this morning. The SPY has a gap down this morning. Obviously, we're going to be following the VIX very closely. So we'll just pop this bad boy to full screen real quick. We'll run through the VIX here. Get over here to a 30-minute. All right, so I'm not quite sure. I haven't really gone through the VIX this morning, so I'm doing a lot of the stuff right off a rip with you guys today. 15-minute is going to be 22. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's going to be there. This is going to be, that's interesting. It's going to be there. 1, 1. Okay, sounds good. Sounds pretty good. Oh, why isn't my statistics on this one? That's lame. I guess we'll add it. Fine. Come on, Thinkorswim, you old dinosaur. There you go, darling. Oh, please tell me it's saved as a default and I don't have to mess with it. Oh, that's lame. I am going to have to do that real quick. Or I got to find the other chart. I could have swore it was on the other chart. Is this the guy? Where'd it go? There it is. Alright, we'll just bring this one up for now. I'm actually going to set my stream deck back up so I can just flip-flop screens instead of dragging them here pretty soon. So yeah, we have the VIX. Obviously, it's still, I mean, again, it's pretty high up, obviously. We're about +3, just trading over +2, you know, as far as statistical regression goes. Now, this is probably a little bit busy of a chart for you guys to look at, so I'm actually going to bring this one back over. All right, so let's see. It looks like the 15-minute chart entered an uptrend overnight. So as far as the VIX is concerned, it's not like you're supposed to look at this and be like, oh, like I could have traded that. Like, you know, it's not what we're getting at, right? But ultimately, the VIX has a really big gap up. When the VIX has a big gap up like this, a lot of the times we're going to look for the VIX to kind of come back down in value and decrease when it has huge gaps and sort of, will that be a gap down or big gap? So again, as that kind of decreases, you see the market push. Now, mind you, right, if you see this big gap in the market, obviously that's because, why is it moving so slow now? It's all of a sudden just got slower. Weird. Speed it up somehow. So, again, big gap. Market a lot of times is going to decrease. That's also helping part of the reason that market's going up here this morning off that bounce. All right, but really what we're getting at, man, I gotta change the settings on this mouse. It just got like super slow out of nowhere. Is there anything to do on it? Can I just, did that make it move faster? I think so, maybe. Anyways. Right here, these red lines, I know I'm being kind of slow this morning, but that's where the 15-minute has broke up and kind of got positive. So if we kind of bring this back and I bring up the VIX here, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's actually kind of slightly incorrect. That's a 5-minute. So the 15-minute is right there. So it might be kind of hard to see to a degree, but we got the 15-minute here. And that's at a price of 20.55. So obviously as the markets have pressed through 20.55 in the VIX is going in, enters an uptrend. Okay. Good morning, James. So market enters an uptrend. And I think I got a message or an email from you last night. I'll be getting to this morning a little bit later. Yeah, so 2055, that's where the market entered an uptrend on the VIX. So overnight, VIX is kind of getting positive. Market's still falling down. All right. Hold on, I'm going to take a second because this is just way too slow. And it's getting redonkulous. I'll be back. I know this morning's been kind of boring. I apologize. Apologize, peeps. It's like out of nowhere. It's like my speed like just dropped completely in half with this. What? My cursor speed is all the way up, but somehow my cursor is just like moving, just like non-existent. How does it even happen? All right, there we go. Yeah, I was like, what? No way. All right. Like something doesn't make sense. There we go. All right, babe, we're back in business. We are good to go. All right, now that my cursor is like functioning and it's not taking me 20,000 seconds to move across my screen, we can rock. All right, let's look at the questions. Nobody's got questions. Perfect. All right, market's in a downtrend. We hit our first set Fibonacci sell target. The news is probably crazy bearish. We'll get into that. VIX has got a mega gap up. 5-minute MAC on VIX, kind of getting through the zero line a bit. If that helps anybody. Not sure if it does. You know what? Let's just kind of take a peek at the news real quick this morning, because why not? Let's make sure it's all gravy. Yup. Okay. So 16 hours ago, we may have saw this one yesterday. September swoon ahead of pivotal jobs. Oh, totally forgot to mention, we got the economic jobs data coming up, 8:30 a.m. So that's going to be in about 16 minutes. So let's get through the news, then we'll talk a little bit about that, and then go from there. So again, we do got some economic data coming up there, obviously, as per title, but 1 day ago, S&P 500 falls as anxiety brews. Ooh, making me shake in my boots over here. So again, anxiety. Yeah, that word will definitely take hold on a lot of people, right? A lot of people have anxiety. So throwing it in a headline, definitely creating a emotional trigger for people, as it resonates with one of the worst feelings that many Americans feel. Stock market today. Stocks slide. They slide. The Dow falls. Third straight loss. Fears plague. Edge. On edge. Okay. We're going to go into the full stuff here. Stocks ahead, key, falls, anxiety, falls, close lower. All right, why investors are waiting on the jobs report. So, yeah, we'll see. So like right here, like why investors are on edge ahead of Friday's jobs report, maybe because the market's in a sell signal, everything's getting spanked. Possibly that. This chart shows stock market falls in 2 months, run up to election day, something. Okay, so basically news is still negative, obviously, right? We wouldn't really expect it to be positive. We do expect that we will start to see sort of, whether it be slight narrative change or positive news start to, come back into the system and put on the front lines of the newspaper when we start to get some positive trends. That would probably make the most sense. So, yeah. nothing to see there as far as really good news, and also not to be expected until we go into a buy signal. That's usually the case. So just don't be searching the news expecting to read anything rosy for the moment. All right, so we do got some data coming up. All right, gonna move this back. We're gonna move this here. We're gonna take a peek at the SPY real fast. Okay, so SPY looks like we had this there, so that's probably a 161. Gotcha. All right, QQQ. A lot going on here. Oh yeah, what do we got? That's an interesting, there's a big algo candle here this morning. After hours, that's a 161, so 161 completion. That is kind of interesting. As we hit the sell target, they ramp up a huge algo to the upside. Okay. So, ooh. Oh, dang it. Yeah, big old algo candle here. That's pretty important. That's also prior to data. It was at 7 a.m. So that's, again, interesting metric. Also, do take note while looking at the NASDAQ. It looks like the NASDAQ, wait, let's redo this 4-hour chart. All right, so the NASDAQ, we're getting close to that -1, so we've almost done that. That's pretty good. Okay. Really just kind of covering the regression trend here, looking at it, and that's about it. Good morning, Q. Thanks for tuning in with us this morning. What's next? Oh, side note. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we are obviously in a sell signal. So again, many times when in a selling move, the data a lot of times will come out negative, or the follow through on it will be negative. Now, I pretty much just stick to that bias every single time, unless it's just the easy way out without having to do a ton of work. Basically, since we're in a downtrend, since we're in a sell operation, I would assume that whatever data comes out is going to be bad, or it will be shaken off to the downside. That is, unless we've hit a support where, say, like, technical aspect outweighs the current kind of sell move. So today one's a little bit dicey because we have such a big gap up on the VIX. There's a lot of room that could theoretically come down, and we also hit one of the kind of sell levels on the downside. So it's like there are kind of some reasons for the market to have bouncing right now. So the market could very well just use some of these low values to bounce the market, even if the data was bad. But naturally, I don't try to kind of get too crazy onto that. Bottom line, when the market goes into an uptrend, more likely to see positive news, good economic data releases, or bad economic data still get pushed up because we're in a buy signal. So since we're in a sell operation, I just basically stick with whatever the results are. It doesn't convince me of any trend until the trends change, kind of concept. So, right, I will just basically say data is going to be bad, and I don't even care if it ends up being good, whatever, right? There we go. It's good, it's bad, but for me, I'm just going to basically stick with the side of it's going to come out bad, or it's going to be used to further sell the market, things like that, so on and so forth. That's usually kind of where I go with things. And now, mind you, eventually it's going to be wrong, right? Because a lot of times trends change, things reverse, right? So it's kind of like, that only works for so long, because obviously trends have to change, kind of jam. So, but we still have a gap down. So again, it's, we'll see what happens, right? If we do open with the gap down, then that causes for the possibility of, you know, basically a gap and go, or a gap pullback then go, in any form, right? All right. And then that gives us downside destinations. So right now, if I were looking at the SPY, we got 821. It almost is kind of dumb for me to say that right now. I'm not even going to do that because someone's going to build the wrong idea. We're just going to wait till the open before we start building that sort of concept. Where was I going next? Yeah. So back to the SPY chart. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong chart this whole time. Sorry about that, people. Mike, hello. Man. Crazy. Man, oh man. My sister gave me this cough. I swear it's been like 3 weeks ago, and it's just like it's like not even sick anymore, but it's just like lingering. Wow. Great. Perfect time to start streaming, right? Can't even speak. Geez, sorry. If we just go deep voice, we're just gonna be deep voiced. So yeah, we got sell target here. So again, you can kind of see for reasons why the market's given a little bounce right now. But we're also not even above the 30-minute there on SPY. We're not over the 15-minute. The 5-minute's getting a little positive. You can kind of see that. Now, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on some of these smaller scale moving averages as much, but you can see how like the 5-minute's getting a little positive, you know. So you can kind of see how the market always kind of lines a moving average up with a break. It almost always happens that way. So you can kind of see here, like you see how we kind of put in these little tops and like kind of rolled. And then like that horizontal flat top breakout lines up with the cross of the 5 SMA. So it's like when you look at, if you're looking at patterns and kind of high-low structures, a lot of times your breaks are going to always be in relationship to like a key moving average too. So you can kind of see here, like it rolls, right? And then it tops here and then it kind of hangs out there and then it's poof, right? And that's because you cross that 5, or not 5, but that 5-minute 50 SMA. So you gave algorithms a reason to transition in that moment up, right? So you gave any algorithms or short-term high-frequency trading machines that are reading information and collecting data on 5-minute scales and micro 5-minute transitions, basically the go-ahead right at that moment to transition flip bids higher, right? So again, there's so much data and there's so much that you can learn and look at, and there's little pieces to the pie. But anyways, it's so funny, dude. Rough. All right, so oh my gosh, wait, I was looking at the wrong screen again. I'm sorry, guys. That was pretty. I'm a dork. I'm used to working. I'm really used to working on this screen down here instead of that one. So maybe I should move it. I'll probably gonna do that right now. Give me a second. I keep doing the wrong screen. It's because I'm so used to working on this bottom one. Yeah. So just give me like a quick second. Or wait, it's gonna be display capture. Which one is this? I gotta put something on the screen so I kind of know what it is. Oh, that doesn't work because that one's that one. Hold on, I gotta change this to like SPX. There we go. Is it this one? Hey, it's that one. First try. Alright, so I just changed the screen. It's because I'm usually looking kind of down at this guy here. All right, so data's coming up here pretty soon. Again, since we're into that sell target, it's kind of hard to be bearish for the moment. And then again, since that VIX has such a big gap up, again, that makes it kind of challenging. You see this big gap up on the VIX, right? So such a big gap up right there. Again, hard to expect that's not going to drain out a little bit. Not to mention the 5-minute trend is bearish on the VIX there. It flipped bearish a while ago. Again, perfect, right? So look at this. So you see at the same time that they flipped the VIX bearish is probably the same time they flipped the 5-minute market to the long. Where the hell is my... Wait, oh, there it is. So that was at 6:10. And when did they do this? No, it's not the same time. That's false. So they basically gave a 5-minute sell on the VIX prior to a 5-minute long there on the SPY. Let's double check this 15. 15 has room down, so this is probably where they're gonna even run this market on the VIX down to 21.15. That's very plausible, and go get that 15-minute. Maybe they'll make it move, easier in the immediate. But anyways. 30 minutes flat down there. I mean, they very well just run this back to the 15-minute and the 30-minute on the VIX. That brings the VIX down to 2114, 2094. That's very plausible. No guarantees, but again, I don't want to jump to too many conclusions with you guys, but when I say it like that, it's just because that is just generally kind of the normal flow of the markets through moving averages, right? So it's not that it has to happen or be right now, but that's just generally the normal flow of markets through moving averages. Michigan beating Texas this week. I hate Texas. I will get to Bitcoin. POTUS game. Yes, Brandon does a lot of scalping. I've done a lot of scalping. Now I'm just kind of getting to the point of running forecasts and analysis and liking kind of more of like a bigger, we all look at everything. I mean, we pretty much go over everything, but I really do enjoy kind of the longer term. I don't even say longer term, but forecasting and analysis and sort of the longer term stuff. I don't want to say longer term, but using longer term levels for trade things. That's just because they seem to have bigger moves, and that's where I can perform a little better. But I guess everyone's got their thing. And I've jumped around so many times. I've had great years of success doing some standard deviation stuff. I've had some great success doing some VWAP stuff. So I guess it all does relatively change to a degree, but it's all, again, you just keep learning new things and kind of adding it to the toolbox. And so we just kind of use a mixture of all of it now. But yeah. And I've slowed trading over the years, haven't done as much trading as I used to. When I was younger and basically had balls of steel, I would just rip big trades, and that's when I was able to make most of my money. And then over the years, it has become harder for me, whereas like someone like my business partner has excelled extremely well. Looks like data's come out. Nice slap down, back to a long. All right. Boom, boom. 8:30, huge juice. Now, as we just kind of mentioned, I actually have no idea what it is. Actually, I'll go find it. Okay, actual payrolls, 142,000. Previous was 90 something thousand, 89,000, 90,000. Consensus was 160,000. Forecast was 120,000. So arguably payrolls up from previous, so that would be good as far as job creation and putting people on payroll, things like that. Below the consensus by a bit, above the forecast. Interesting. Just huge rippy, right? So that probably resulted in the NASDAQ. Yeah, NASDAQ filled up the algo candle, it looks like. Just going to double check that. Oh, and it doesn't work. Real quick, again, obviously data came out and just blew the market up, right? So, but you can see, where's the VIX at? Do you guys notice where the VIX is now at? It's at that 2119. It's at that 2097, that 5 or 15-minute and 30-minute trend, as we just discussed a little bit ago. So again, we talked about the market being below the 5 on the VIX, 5-minute trend. So 5-minute micro bearish, right? And then falling down into the 15 and into the 30-minute, right? Because that's generally the ebb and flow of market prices through moving averages. And part of the reason why is because algorithms use simple moving averages in their calculations, because it's sort of like a guideline and a roadmap to use, right? So for example, take your chart, take a 5-minute SMA. Its price is here, okay? Well, what is the next moving average in sequence? Well, obviously it would be like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? You would just go down the list. But not all of them are going to be used as much as others, and so on and so forth, right? So let's just say, for simple purposes, that the moving average sequence is from 5 to 15, 15 to 30, right? 30 to 1 hour, things like that, right? So if algorithm reads that 5 SMA has been breached, then, right, what is next moving average in sequence? So as algorithm high frequency codes are written, I can't say that's exactly how they're written, but it's the form of logic that can be used in programming if-then statements. So if 5 SMA breaks down, then plan for projections as low as 15-minute 50 SMA, which, based off of real-time data that we're collecting from exchanges or wherever, that 15-minute SMA is down at X price, right? So that's ways that, kind of algorithms can speak. So, as we just also said before, right, my expectations is data would be, basically bad, right, or be used as a negative, right? In this event, it was used as a positive. Now, also at the same time, that's because, like, narrative, we're in a downtrend, right? But though we're in a downtrend, we can clearly see that the market has reached one of our sell targets. Sell targets are usually long entries, right, or long moves. So we just mentioned that it's kind of hard to actually be bearish in this bottom right now. So though idea of markets being data being bad, we've kind of reached that sell target. So it's like technical aspect outweighs narrative in the moment for me. Also looks like, let's just double check. No, we're just back up to the 30-minute pre-market downtrend. Over under level, don't put big emphasis on that. By the looks of it, we don't really have a gap down anymore. So just an FYI. Can you do analysis on Bitcoin? So I mean, I hope this all makes sense. I know there's a lot going on there. I'm trying to cover it kind of all for you guys. This has got to be next weekend. That can't be this weekend. Yeah, it's next weekend. So yeah, so I would say the main takeaway for you guys and me guys on the stream here this morning is basically, right, data announcement is into a big sell target and or what I would be using as support. Other people are going to have other reasons for the support being there. So again, you can't actively be bearish kind of into that zone. That's just not, it's not what you can't do it for the moment. that being said, we are still actually in a downtrend. Someone might look at this data pop and be like, oh yeah, right? But market's still not yet actually in an uptrend, okay? And so we won't really consider that the markets again have entered an uptrend until we're getting over the price of 553.83. So quite a bit of ways to go there as far as that trend change is concerned. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have a whole much of a gap day. All right, bringing back over the VIX again. So the VIX is now entering a new sell move on the pre-market. When I say a new sell move, it just we've given up the looks like we've given up the 30-minute trend there. So the pre-market has now flipped on the 30-minute bearish. A lot of times this is going to result in the markets being gravitated to regular hours. Let's see, VIX. All right, so now we're opening up the door. As long as the markets on the VIX aren't recovering 2095 and maintaining below, markets don't always move in a straight line. We'll be looking for the VIX to essentially decrease as low as $19.05 for the moment. And when I say the moment, that doesn't mean like this exact moment. So we are getting some early kind of sell operations, arguably on the VIX, which would constitute long pressure on the market, as we've been seeing, right? As the VIX falls down, markets boost up. So neither the market right now is in a buy signal for the SPY, nor is the VIX in a true sell signal, but we are seeing some of those early signals of kind of potential rolls there, or maybe even continued roll there on the VIX. But still, nonetheless, right? If we look into this chart here, there's a lot going on right here. I'll put a little box here so when we bring it up next time around. But as long as the market on the VIX is below that area, you're not going to really see the VIX turn around. I mean, it could bounce, right? But it's not going to, it's just going to probably bleed out more. And as a result, we might even look down to this like $18, $19 area there. And the reason I say that is because the VIX is still theoretically in an uptrend until it would be breaching $19. And we have yet to actually test that since our last buy operation, which I will highlight here with another box. So if you look here on the screen right here, right, so we breached our uptrend level here, and the uptrend level has yet to be tested within the uptrend. So you almost kind of assume at some point the market's going to come back down on the VIX to test that. So yeah, keep that in mind. Remember too, I'll bring this back up because I know some people's watching this may be wondering, you know, like what was the sell target. Now again, this doesn't mean that the move is fully reversing and all these things, but anyways, we'll jump into it here. Right there. All right, so basically I've just adjusted my Fibonacci. It might not be exact, but you know, there you can see the Fibonacci. It's in yellow, so I will move this, and I will move sell target here. All right, so, and I want to make sure this is actually accurate. It would actually be more like theoretically here. It's debatable. I mean, it could be used a couple different ways there, but yeah, I mean, realistically, we should even almost just kind of zone this out slightly because you also get a break there. So there's going to be 2. All right. Okay. So basically right there, like this zone, this area would be a Fibonacci sell target. One of them on the downside, right? So, yeah. Again, you can kind of see here. Here's the 100 fib below 161 pop, right? So one of the downside swing targets have been met there. Again, the extended target would be like down here. Not quite. Again, we're kind of waiting on the open to see if we have any sort of gap. By the looks of it, there could very well still be a gap here leading on the SPY. Oh, tired. A little yawn. Snap, crackle, pop. You know, let's take a little run through some of our major players here this morning. I mean, you can kind of assume, and I'll just delete some of this old stuff. You can kind of assume that some things are going to be up with the pop this morning. Looks like Nvidia's kind of crossing that 30-minute a bit. Microsoft probably trying. Google trying. Amazon has been doing. Meta up. Yeah, you can kind of expect that. So we'll keep an eye on some of those guys, you know, as we kind of progress through the day. But yeah, with data obviously popping markets like that, some of these bigger names have obviously gotten pressed to the upside some. But yes, Howard, we're looking at levels based off when we kind of come into the open. The first level was basically us going into the sell target and basically suggesting not to be bearish in that moment. You kind of have to watch long bias, even though I was saying I kind of think data announcements will be bad. Irrelevant of that, you still can't. In the technical side, it was first tags into kind of support, oversold, high VIX. The technical aspect of the market basically said it would be, you know, kind of a bounce spot. Now, data is always arguably up in the air, but I would just assume it's bad. Now, that being said, we are still in a selling operation for the market that has not yet changed. So do keep that in mind. And then I am going to, let's see, this was our last guy here. Yep. All right. That was this guy. Let me check the regular hours. There. That's probably about the same spot, honestly. Yeah, same stuff. 8:45. I mean, I probably should go get another coffee, shouldn't I? Yeah, I think we'll do that. I think we're gonna go ahead and get a little coffee there. So, two, since the data is obviously slamming the markets up, this is where going into the open, we're probably going to be looking at some bottom up, catch up support things for back test and continued pushes. Like we said, the VIX is still selling down. So it looks like we're just, again, short-term oversold bounce, still in a, macro. I just got to say macro downtrend, but again, data juicing. Just remember, we have hit the Fibonacci sell target, one of which on the downside. Also, do remember too that this sell move started here. So we started like right there on that sell move. We are now into a sell target on the downside, hence. Right, which this is a perfect day to kind of cover that you can have a narrative and bias and all that stuff because of trend, but eventually, when you hit good technical oversold spots, data can be used obviously in the opposite. So really data, the way that me and my buddy Brandon look at data is really just used to move volume and technical analysis. Really, that's what we've kind of come to nowadays. Because we can kind of throw technicals and have an idea of where data is going to go a lot of the times. And so just like this morning was kind of like, well, even though I kind of think data is going to come out bad, you can't be bearish here because the technicals say bounce, right? And then what do they do with data? They use data to move the bounce, right? So we kind of see it's almost less of what the data is going to come out and say, but it's more about how is the market actually structured a lot of times. There can be surprises, and I'm not saying that it's perfect, and but that's kind of it. And if you and that's it, yeah. So a lot of times they will use data just to move markets based off volume and analysis and liquidity zones, if you may. So just keep that in mind. So like again, and you guys. I keep repeating it, and I hate to sound like a broken record. I know it's not on the screen, but obviously if you guys go look at yesterday's stream, we were saying, hey, like this is a sell target, right? So what happens at sell targets, right? Shorts cover. What happens when shorts cover? Things go up, right? What happens when people are too late to sell? They get squeezed up too, right? So again, as you come into sell targets, you tend to have long bounces. So, right? Again, what is this morning's bounce? I'm gonna go get a coffee in a second, but now again, what is this morning's bounce also accommodated with? There's a lot of things, but what my eyes are picking up on is like the VIX here, right? So look at the VIX. The VIX is almost trading +3, right? That's not good, right? Almost trading +3 standard deviation. That's extremely overbought. It could go higher, it can go whatever, right? But we just know statistically on based on a normal distribution pattern that would be overbought. Markets aren't normally distributed, but anyways, and then again we have, when we look into the 30-minute here, just use this zone, right? This zone here, that 30-minute zone, that's an over under bullish bearish pre-market chart function level. So the pre-market chart function 30-minute flipped bearish, right? But we know that the regular trading hours is not quite bearish. So if we were to pull this screen over and flip this to a 30-minute, right? The 30-minute regular trading hours is still positive over 1895. So a lot of times this is kind of what a lot of times we'll see. A lot of times we'll see pre-market charts flip negative. The bearish trend on a pre-market is used to attack a regular trading hours function trend. And the regular trading hours function trend is the dominant trend. So pre-market would be like little brother. Regular trading hours would be big brother. In little brother, once he starts to get in trouble, big brother comes to save him, or at least try to. It's kind of how it often works. So what we saw this morning was the little brother VIX got taken out this morning pre-market around, what was that, like 21 bucks, about $21, and his big brother is just sitting down at about 19. So far we've gotten down to 1981. Again, I can't, it's just kind of the moving averages, a sequence of moving averages through time frames and chart functions. So, yeah, that should be pretty clear. I think that's good. I think we did good on that. I think we do good. All right, I'm gonna go get this coffee. We'll be back. And like that also kind of how we're kind of plays into what you said about like what are the levels, right? It's the levels are always ongoing and updating in an ever flowing evolving market. So when you say like what are the levels, right? Like there's ways that we can get levels, right? They're already there, right? You can see sell target was here. There's ways that we'll derive other targets maybe in the micro in real time. Which, like right now, if you guys look at volume weighted average prices off the low of today's data announcement, you can start tracking you can start tracking the volume weighted average price of everyone participating on the data announcement. Like we're already following that. It's actually on the screen. We put it on the screen a little bit ago if you caught it. Right? So if you look at, I didn't put it on right away. It's kind of late on it, but it's always in the back of my mind. It's always there, right? So if you look at like here, like the 1 minute, this is the 1 minute trend of the data announcement. Hence, basically, if data jams up, a lot of times what you're going to see is a move, a pull, hold, data trend support, rally back out. That one didn't actually test. They kind of shied. That can happen at times. But that's another tactic that obviously we use and follow and look at. But, can't be giving away all the sauces. But I mean, again, there's only like 41 of you guys. So, maybe one day when it's like thousands. No, I'm kidding. But if it were, then we'd probably have to dial back because people would manipulate a lot of these strategies and approaches and try to front run, or, then we would say something and there'd be too many people piling in one direction, and then the algorithms would flip it opposite to liquidity, wipe them, and things like that. So, again, really just here to provide some forecasts, some analysis, some coaching, some guidance, things like that. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go get this coffee and we will be right back. Don't go nowhere. Or go somewhere. Where are you gonna go? CNBC? You gotta get up and tell me to leave, because I'll forget. All right, we're back. We're back. Stronger than before. That's a hot coffee, folks. That is a hot coffee. Oh. Give me just a second here, folks. Stupid. Alrighty, sorry about that. Sending over a couple messages. I have to head to work. Alright, you have a great day. TradingView does have real-time prices. Do you do options leverage like SPN, TQQ, leveraged ETFs? Yeah, I have. I've traded and held some leveraged ETFs. I do watch those UVX or yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of brain farting. But yeah, they're leveraged. So, like, for example, when the SPY goes into a buying operation, the SPY may only go up, say, like 4%, but one of those is going to go up, well, 4, so that'd be 12. So you can get and so there's basically, that's a way that you can get invested in the market by having a strongly correlated asset to the market that's more leveraged, right? And it goes against you too, right? If the market goes down 4%, then your leverage ETF's down 4 or down 12%, right? But ultimately, yes, that is a way to get alpha on top of the SPY, or more alpha than what the SPY will offer, while at the same time being invested in something that is strongly correlated to the market, right? So it's like you're buying the market, getting the movement, the fluctuation of the S&P 500, yet reaping a bigger reward than what the SPY will offer, yet not being as leveraged as options or futures. So it's kind of like a sort of it's kind of like a nice in between, because it allows you the opportunity for leverage, not leverage to the tits, but create more alpha than just the market. So it's a good opportunity for people that are, want to be relatively active with kind of moving in between, I'll call it macro, micro longs and things like that on the market, because of that nature, right? And so you also may hear that like leverage ETFs are dangerous. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's dangerous in the sense that, like, obviously if you're holding and it's going against you, then you're going to get double whammied. But again, it's the same thing. It's a give and take, right? So you're going to get 3x leverage. You're going to be able to create more alpha than the SPY, you know, not as risky as an options future, something like that. So, yeah, I think that's probably a good way of explaining that. So, like, for example, the next time the market goes into a buying operation, it would probably be, it's a good idea. All right, let me phrase that. Next time the market goes into a buying opportunity, you could very well be looking at things like a leveraged ETF to try to produce a larger gain than what the market will provide, with being less leveraged than an option, a futures contract. Yeah. Man. All right. It's 9 o'clock. When am I supposed to go to this doctor's appointment? I don't even want to leave. Tell him to come here. At 10 a.m. How long is it going to take to get there? Lame. $15. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna have to jam here in the next 25, something like that, or so. Ugh. Might be back a little bit later. Well, I mean, I'll definitely be back later, but as far as being on stream, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, someone asked about Bitcoin earlier. Yep, I mean, pretty much just same jazz, right? We got, I mean, the sell target for, I don't know, weeks now has been $54,510. Last night we got to about $55,263. So arguably we haven't hit the sell target. We're getting really close. That probably completed 80, I don't know, like 89% of it last night, something like that, 88% of it as far as that's concerned. So, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, I mean, if you ask me, it's just still, I mean, I think we're still going to go down, hit $54,510. If not, so be it. If we don't, that's okay because we hit 55,307. So that would mean that the sell target only missed currently by $800, and that's on, like a $1 trillion market cap asset class, if you may, and it is worth currently $56,927, or it's an asset class that is traded as high as $70,000. So when we're thinking about, a difference of $800, I'm not even really going to be all that mad if it didn't hit, right? Because to be able to forecast a $1 trillion market that trades in values of $70,000, and then only being off by $800, I mean, we're not gonna, not gonna go be upset about that. That's a great job. That being said, probably still gonna go down to $54,510. I will not be surprised when they shake this bounce off, right? So, and then yeah, yep. All right, so the VIX still creeping down to the 1892 area, most likely falling into about $19 or so, give or take 1895. And again, that's most likely, well, I mean, again, like we said, the market's been pumping all morning since the data announcement, coming into support. We really never recommended a short, anything like that. Recommend you got to stay on the long side down in the bottom, even though you're currently in a selling operation, because the selling operation hasn't changed. All right. So it's an oversold metric bottom bouncing while you have confluence of the VIX currently selling. So there is, so again, it's like, even though the market's in a sell operation, there's also been some long signals kicking, sell signals, some sell signals kicking off on the VIX, right? Which is also helping that narrative of this bottom pushing up, right? And then currently, the long here has taken us back to the 30-minute resistance over-under VWAP trend. Hence why you already saw a little bit of resistance, kind of pulled the market back there. This is pretty much the over-under at this point, all right? So, you guys know what that means. I don't have to go into too much more detail there. It's as simple as over, markets can keep pushing, under, they basically continue with resistance. So, and here's another thing to actually kind of consider, right? I know this looks weird, but this is a scenario that is also at play, right? So if you remember, the 30-minute 50 SMA on the regular trading hours chart is still a positive trend. So far, now what we have seen is we have seen that they have released the data. Okay, so let's go through this, right? So we have seen them and actually I'm going to kind of move this a little differently. There we go. Sorry, that might have been kind of confusing a lot of the time. My bad. All right, so we've seen the data come out, pump the market up. We've seen a little bit of some selling kind of signals occur on the VIX this morning pre-market around, whether it be the 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, help move things down on the VIX, juice things up on the market. This has allowed the VIX to get back down to the $18.95 trend, which is still theoretically support because it hasn't been broken. So this is interesting because they're going to set the market up in a situation where the VIX is now going to be testing its uptrend level into the open while the market has come to an arguable over-under resistance. So basically what I'm seeing here is we have to pay extremely close attention to the VIX because the VIX is going to be opening up around a trigger level, which is the 50 SMA on the regular trading hours chart. So it's kind of like if they want the market to actually get roasted off this top, they're going to bounce the VIX around 1895. Okay? 18 over under that level, right? So basically we have a scenario now setting up where the controllers of the market, the free market, everyone, whether it's this stream and the other 20 streams on the internet, right, along with the hedge funds and the banks and the computers and the algos and every single person participating in the free markets, wants a support bounce on the VIX at 1895, that will give cause or reason for the markets to actually pull off this high. All right. Sometimes the markets don't always play perfectly a one-to-one game, but that is a scenario that's arguably lining up. Now, the VIX does look like absolute crap as we roll into the 1895s, but a lot of times you almost have to assume there's a bounce first before just an initial breakdown. And with such a big roll this morning, it could very well happen. So that's kind of what I'm watching right now, is I'm actually watching for the VIX to maybe get held up here, whether it's today or maybe into tomorrow around 1895, which then results in the market actually pulling back here a little bit. So, yeah. Granted, and I'm not even going to say that. I mean, and that's the way I'm always kind of thinking until the trend changes, right? So basically what I just saw today is we had a pre-market downtrend. When I say pre-market, that means I'm talking about the chart function, not necessarily this morning. Let me rephrase that. Today I saw an extended trading hours function enter a downtrend this morning, which is resulting in the regular trading hours function uptrend test. You would generally need the regular trading hours uptrend to fail to further extend a move on the market, considering things move in a one-to-one aspect, and they don't always do that. Or play nicely, right? Oh man, neck, a little sore here. So unfortunately, I don't have to leave exactly at, but so I'll probably see like 2 minutes of the open, and that's pretty much it. And then I'm gonna have to head out for a doctor's appointment, but arguably I'll jump back in a little bit later and see what's going on. SPY still has a gap fill on the downside. VIX 5 minute. That's weird. And we also have, I'll just say, well, I'll say there are some gaps left in the VIX chart back to the upside in theory. So I'm assuming at some point they're gonna want that. Market's going to be opening flat. Sergey, VIX is on the same bounce point for the last 3 days. Yeah, that's true. There's also a slight difference too. I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, there's always difference, right? So the first time we bounced here on this day, the market was still positively trending on the extended hours function. The previous day was actually a bottom bounce, theoretically bottom bounce test of previous support. Today, the extended trading hours function has entered a downtrend as it's attacking these levels. So definitely different market structure than previously. You know, and we don't really look at like, oh, it's bounced here so many times that it's support. That's not how I and many will look at a chart and kind of think of support. Naturally, the more times we see something bounce a certain level, generally speaking, our first thoughts are the weaker it is. So considering we bounced once, went in an uptrend, and bounced twice on a slight downtrend break, double bottom, and now we're into a full-fledged sell move coming down. Again, not as bullish on that bottom for that reason. But that being said, we do have some regular trading hour support coming at a support test. It's called a support test, coming at 1896 or so in that area. So Nvidia's in channel trading for the past 3 days. Yeah, I think the Q. Well, let me just double check. Yeah, pretty much. Just a little FYI, I mean, Nvidia got positive this morning around the price of $106.65. Microsoft arguably getting a little positive here as far, and this is all talking about moving average trend stuff, again, which can always change pretty quick, but a little positive activity there, 407.57 on Microsoft this morning. Positive activity above the level of 158.18 this morning on Google. Amazon, positive activity as it regains support around 175.54 today. Meta, positive activity obviously into data over that, what is that, 514.72. Apple, positive movement trend over the price of 21.70 this morning, right? Which is all kind of in line with what they did with data. So, obviously. So you're starting to get, ironically, some couple little uptrend starts here this morning, but that's also in relation to data, so I'm not going to put super emphasis on that. So market is still on a sell signal. Yep, because the trend hasn't changed. So again, you have to be again, market's still bearish because it's in a sell operation. Does not mean that things can't have oversold bounces. Remember, before any trend becomes bearish or bullish, it has to top and it has to bottom. So bottoms and tops are created from oversold or overbought metrics. If successful enough, it flips into an uptrend, right? So basically the narrative right now is we've hit some oversold bottoms, but the market is still trend bearish. So that means in the short term, yes, we're bouncing, but no uptrend's actually been triggered yet. That's actually kind of false. There's many uptrends that have been triggered yet, but they're just all on smaller time frames. But as far as something that we really pay attention to for trend change, hasn't quite happened yet. So in the immediate, we have reasons as to why it's bouncing, and you're kind of watching things go up. But no bigger trend has been triggered for full trend change. So another thing that's, arguably kind of in line helping markets go up is you got a lot of the big names kind of starting some uptrends today on extended hour sessions, but that's also because we had data announced and they use data to rip markets up, right? So you're getting positive movement across those things right now. So again, another big thing we're going to have to watch is we're going to have to watch that VIX today. The VIX is going to be, again, it might not give the whole story, but that's definitely an important watch day amidst the VIX. Again, 9:24. Only gonna have about another 10 minutes here or so before I gotta jam. By the looks of it, the market's really not going to be opening with much of a gap there. So, if any, so we're not going to be running any sort of gap targets for the day in that relation. But again, if markets just kind of, so this is another, I don't just want to throw out too many scenarios. But I guess, what else are we going to do? The flip side of things, right? So it's like, okay, we don't really get much resistance in this area, yada, yada, yada. Then I'm not even going to say that. We'll just, again, we have arguably some targets that could go as high as 552, 42 on the SPY. QQQ has some targets on the upside. They could run it up as high as 56427. Again, those aren't quite triggered yet, in my opinion, because we still have the 30-minute resistance level over under. We're still kind of watching that VIX, want to see how that guy kind of plays out. So yeah, you guys get the point. We do got arguably some pullback destinations. I mean, those are all just so small, I'm not even going to really discuss those for the moment. Damn, that's quite down there. Oh, misspelled that. So 930s, yes. Okay, let's pull that VIX. Well, gotta wait for it, but. stupid box. I'll say most of the big names right now, just starting with some, I'll say some slight pulls out of the gate. Kind of mixed. Wouldn't really say it's too clear there. Oh. All right, so the VIX is open there. VIX is holding support currently. Again, you can see how we've opened on the 50 SMA, starting to bounce. So this is where you gotta, basically, as long as this VIX holds this, we should see even the market roll a bit. Let's just double check a couple other things. Well below the 1 minute. So that's the kind of what I'm watching, is that over under VIX. This is pretty much exactly what we talked about. You know, kind of watching this VIX at this 50 SMA. So VIX is still holding an uptrend. That's kind of interesting. Market's still holding relatively strong. 30-minute trend has kind of flipped positive, so we're not really too bearish there on the market, even though we're still holding support on that VIX. So again, data force targets, you know, things continue to force up. We'll probably see close to 552 and some change. Ultimately, the market is, I mean, we're still over data support and all those things. So again, we just kind of look at value spots, right? So value opportunities, you know, SPY early morning demand retrace. So basically, VIX actually holds successful bounce off 50 SMA. We would see a retrace down to the early morning demand, right? No successful bounce, we're going to get data force push, you know, like 552. Again, I'll bring this over, right? So you can kind of see what we're talking about with the VIX. See how the VIX is just, hold on. Bring this, I don't know why it's just being dumb like that. It's kind of lame. It's on the 934, I'm gonna have to run here. But so you can see how the VIX has come down into our $18 or $19 target. So we said it would sell down there. Now we'll see it flirt. I mean, it's red, it's not really doing a whole lot. It's kind of slow, but ultimately, see how it just snapped there? That's another slight algo snapping. Things play nice. It's going to juice the market a bit. Let's see if it's a false little scammy one, or if that was a true kind of algo give up. If so, we should see essentially forced push. That would make most sense, but could be a little early. But these are the things we pay attention to right in the immediate. So if we go into like a 1 minute chart here, ready? See this? I know it doesn't look like much. It's just like a little line on a chart, but again, you can see exactly. See how it already had that line mapped off on the chart before the open, hours before the open. We were mapping off the price level of like 1897. Look at these 1 minute candles, right? Hold, wick, snap, right? So that's as detailed as we get when we watch things and we talk about algorithms and moving averages and things like that. So interesting. Whatever that was. Okay, sure, bud. So let's just, I guess we'll just close all that there. All right, cool. So reload, connect, cool. I have no idea, sure. So anyways, I got to get ready to run here because I got to go to the old dock. But so this is kind of what you're watching. You're watching this overrun on the VIX. That's very important. You're watching some of these data metrics. You still got some 1 minute candles getting below there. But anyways, fun stuff. But yeah, I'll catch you guys back maybe a little bit later this afternoon. We'll kind of come back, see how things prevail. But ultimately, I will just kind of leave you guys with this. 552 areas and some change would be SPY kind of data announcement levels. And if we look at the Qs, Qs is actually rolling a little bit to the downside right now. So again, we're getting a little bit of divergence between SPY, QQQs. Qs is snapping. Looks like they might even do a little reverse on the VIX here and pop it up. All right. I don't want to go just yet. All right. So again, remember the two targets are going to be force push and or SPY early morning demand retrace levels, things like that. But anyways, I got to run here. I will catch you guys back in maybe a little bit later this afternoon. Oh man, I gotta show you. So look at this. You see this? See that little flirt? See, it's already flipping. Again, it's what we kind of talked about. The early morning VIX pull test. Hold on, it's being kind of lame. I know it doesn't look like much, but still holding that little level. They're kind of flirting it. But anyways, I'll get back to you guys a little bit later.